What's up, YouTube? Chili Sports Cards here again. Today's video, I want to talk about something that I left out in the last video that I made. Basically, when I make these videos, I'm just trying to talk to you guys and get you to try to open your eyes. And the way that the hobby is going in the direction, there's, I, I, I want to try to make it to where you guys, man, I don't even know how to say this. It's like in the past, it was a lot simpler, easier. It was more fair. It was a lot easier for people to understand or people to get into, and it was thriving. It was fun. And nowadays, to me, it's like it's still cool. The cards are nice, and they're making a lot of really nice new cards today. 2020 Topps Tribute product that just came out. I like it a lot. I watched a few different videos and people opening up the product, and I was like, wow, that's a nice card. That's a nice product. And Topps makes lots of good products. Every year you got to pay for them, but they definitely do make some nicer product than the Topps Series 1 and 2 or the Topps Update paper stuff. And I never said that they didn't in any of my videos. I've always said that they have, a product for everybody. What you're looking at right here on the screen right here is the Beckett. Do you guys remember when Beckett used to mean something? Do you guys remember like having your Beckett in your car, or if you went to a card show, having a Beckett with you or near you? That way you knew you weren't gonna get overpay for a card or something like that. The old days, it was a lot different. And the topic that I left out in the video that I made yesterday, or the day before that, I don't remember how long ago it was now, but it wasn't too long ago. I left out the box breakers, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, and I said that it was a huge problem. And I'm going to talk about box breakers, and I'm going to tell you guys why it's such a big problem. And I'm going to tell you when, box breaking started. When YouTube came out and you can make videos and stuff like that, almost instantly, with like eBay, people started to put a lot of their, inventories on eBay and stuff like that. A lot of guys that had card shops would also have an eBay store because it, when it first started, it wasn't too expensive, and there wasn't a lot of fees. And why not? If you sold something online, versus selling it in the store, you would just pick it off your shelf and, wrap it up and then send it out with the mail. It wasn't a big deal. It increased your sales opportunities, to worldwide, because the eBay was worldwide, and that's cool. That was a good thing, right? Well, the box breakers have significantly hurt the shops. The guys that don't have shops that are doing box breaking. And there's a part of me that feels like it's a good thing and a bad thing, and I can't hate on anybody that does box breaking because I understand it. Say like I was a huge Seattle Mariners fan because I was a big Griffey fan and I really liked the team, and I was in Seattle and I was alive when they first became a team, like in the mid 70s or whatever, and I didn't really care about any other team. I just cared about the Mariners. Well, when they started doing box breaking, when it first started and guys started doing it, they would sell teams. And they would, they would charge you a fee and then say, okay, well, you're going to pay for the Mariners, and any Mariner card that you get in the box breaking or the case break or whatever have you, you'll get all the Mariners cards. And that was cool. That's a cool thing. It's a good thing. It was a good tool and a good way for you to make sure that you got the cards that you were only interested in without having to buy the whole box. And a lot of people do. I mean, there's a ton of guys that are doing box breakers now. They have, they do it by teams, they do it by random packs, they do it by sections in the box. I mean, they random off, the teams or the players sometimes, or the autos, or, they do all kinds of different stuff with these box breaks now. But the problem is the box breaking has killed the shops. You might think to yourself, in just your own personal experience, maybe you live in Los Angeles area, maybe you live in Detroit area, maybe you live, in St. Louis or, whatever have you, San Francisco, some of the bigger towns, some of the smaller towns, anywhere in the country. How many card shops did you used to have around you back in the day, 15, 20 years ago? And then think about how many you have now. A lot of card shops just close their doors and, they don't exist anymore. Or a lot of the times, you go to a card shop and you find nothing but Magic in it, or Magic and Pokemon or something like that. And the sports cards aren't that, big a deal anymore compared to the Magic or the Pokemons or the, Dragon Ball Z's or whatever else, And that's fine. There's a big market for that, and people like that. And that anybody can like whatever they want to like. I'm not going to hate. But for these guys that are doing, YouTube, and they're box breaking, they're buying case after case and the case and cases and cases and cases, and they're opening up cards for 12 hours a day, almost nonstop. And then they have like 4 or 5 guys that work on the teams just so they don't get tired. I think that, that obviously the money's being spent by guys that are, significantly better off than others. And it's a good way for them to get the collections that they want and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. We live in America, and that's cool. And I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, it's killed the shops. I don't think that when people started doing box breaking, they intended to kill the shops. I don't think that they intended to kill card shows. You used to I grew up in Fresno, California. It's central Fresno, or Central California. And I remember when I was a kid in, the mid 90s, we used to have like 2 or 3 card shows a month. Every third Saturday of the month there was a card show at the Piccadilly Inn, and there was one at the Manchester Mall, and there was one at the Sierra Vista Mall, and then that's 3 right there. And there was a couple more. It was something that was fun to go to. And obviously at the time we didn't have eBay, and so if there was cards that you were looking for, you'd have to go to the card show to maybe possibly find them and stuff like that. But it was nice to get out of the house and not just be a troll at home and sit on your computer and buy cards. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I mean, I do it too now, but eBay, that's what eBay is. But a lot of things have changed in the sports card hobby, and the box breakers, they're responsible for actually opening up approximately an estimated 90%, 90% of the product that comes out. If you go into one of your local card shops and something that comes out like the Topps Tribute, go try to find a box of Topps Tribute at your local card shop. And then ask them, hey, how many of those were you able to get? Did you try to order more? Well, how come you couldn't get more? Because it's limited supply now. Because, you know what? I don't know exactly how it all works. I really don't. But they don't have the exclusive purchasing power that they used to. Because there's not as much supply. Because there's so many people doing box breaks. And there's a lot of them, and they're in different parts of the country and stuff. And that, I guess, I guess that's okay. I mean, I don't like it because, the card shops make a lot of their money on the boxes. People want to go in and buy the boxes. They watch videos and they say, hey, I want to go buy a box of that, and they're forced to go into eBay and then pay a big old markup and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate, right? Well, if you're doing the math on you buy a box of cards because you want to get lucky and get something good. But I'm telling you guys, some of the newer stuff, you can still get nice stuff and you still get good stuff, but the high percentage of the really good hits and the autographs and the low serial number stuff, you ain't gonna get it. It's gonna be the box breaker guys that pull most of that stuff because they're buying 90% of the product. It's simple as that. If you want to hit big, if you want to get lucky, you're gonna have to go in on box breaks every once in a while, and you're gonna have to go on the right products. You're going to have to do your research. You know what I'm saying? And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. You can do that. You still have that option to buy in. But it's a lot like eBay too. First come, first serve. And you're going to have to find a box breaker guy that you like. Or maybe several. And then, you're going to have to start spending a lot of money on different stuff. And you're going to get a lot of crap cards. Or you're going to buy into stuff and not even get any cards. And some people don't give you a refund for that. And it's the way that the hobby is going, think to yourself right now, have you ever sold a card online on eBay and totally ripped somebody off, way overpriced it, and got your money for it or whatever, and ripped somebody off by selling like a reprint or something like that? Most of you are going to say no. But at the same time, most of you are going to say, yeah, I got ripped off on something, or I bought a fake card, or even as people that actually have a good base foundation of knowledge in the hobby, and you know what to look for, you still get screwed over sometimes. Or sometimes you get a card in the mail and it's a lot more damage than you think, or something happens, right? We're all not perfect, and we make mistakes and we make bad decisions. And I bought a Topps 2013 purple refractor, the Nolan Arenado that I bought. I'm glad you didn't buy an Nats, because on the back of the card, I wish I had it out, but on the back of the card, there's like a big old freaking wrinkle in it, man. And I didn't see it until after I put it for sale, and then I took it down. And then I was like, well, that sucks, because the front looked really good, and the centering, and then everything else. But it's just going to be a card that I ate. I mean, I know that's not going to be no 9 or 8. It might get like a 7 or 6, something with that big crease in the back. At least it's not on the front. But I got kind of ripped off, man. Because I bought a card that obviously was not even anywhere near mint to mint condition. It's not, because of that big surface crease in it. And it's a big crease. It's like, 2.5 inches long. So, but I couldn't see in the picture because it was all in the white part of the card. And, the way that the picture was on the thing, you have to have a certain angle to see the glare. And it's just something I missed, I didn't see it. So anyway, think about this right now. Now, some of you guys, that are into the hobby, that have family that aren't into the hobby, that have young ones around you and stuff like that, you kind of guide them under their wing. If they hit you up and they're like, hey, I think this stuff is really cool, and I got some money and I want to start buying stuff, you can teach me about it. You're gonna help those kind of people out. But there's a lot of people that get into this hobby for the very first time and just buy their first boxes at Walmart or Target, and they buy boxes and they buy boxes, and then they realize they don't ever get nothing good out of them, or hardly ever get anything good out of them, so they stop. Or they decide, oh man, I want to go ahead and buy a Mike Trout rookie card, not knowing much about anything. They see a whole bunch of the fake Trout reprints, but they don't even know what they're not buying or whatever. They don't have a clue about anything, and then they get ripped off, right? And then what happens is they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends, oh hey, stay away from baseball cards. They'll rip you off. There's a way, any kind of way that people can make extra money in this hobby by screwing each other over. Just look at the 1987, 1989 boxes of cards that have Bonds cards or Griffey cards in them. A lot of them are pack searched and then resealed and repacked, or they just combine boxes that they already got Griffeys pulled out of them or whatever. Any kind of simple, scandalous thing that anybody can do to come up with something that's scandal, or to make a little bit extra money on, people do it. They weigh packs. They they pack search. They even guys like who. Look what they were doing with the PWCC guys, and they were trimming old vintage cards and selling them as like PSA 9s, and we're talking about 1954 Hank Aaron rookie cards. Now, if you had any kind of logic sense, and I preach that so much, if you had common logical sense, there's no way a 1954 Topps Hank Aaron rookie card, being that old, not even having back in the day the right kind of protective gear to keep it that way, there's no way those cards exist that are in that pristine condition. It's just not going to happen. The box, whatever it was holding in or whatever, they got moved around and stuff over the last 7 years. People move, or you see a lot of times on different places like Mercari, or even eBay sometimes, where it's an attic find and it's just been up there and nobody's touched it or moved it. Bull crap. It's a reprint, and the card's been purposely wrinkled, or whatever. Okay, but the fact that these guys we're working with people that trim these cards and then try to sell them as authentic, trimmed, beautiful old vintage cards is a huge slap in your guys' face. They slapped everybody in the face, is what they did. You know what I'm saying? and they got, they pretty much just got away with it and got their money, and everybody's laughing, ha ha ha. And then you guys want to all talk about them and preach and say, oh, PSA, PSA. And, I talk about PSA, but the truth of the matter is everybody talks about PSA. So, it's just a part of the hobby. It's like, it's just like, it's like the popular one. Everybody likes it, I was talking to the Past is Alive channel, and I asked him if he'd ever send in cards to SGC. And he's like, yeah, I would send in old vintage cards. He just did an opening today, 1990 tops. And it was like a live stream thing where he was trying to find the no name. He was opening up packs of 1990 tops. Within the first 5 minutes of his video, he starts talking about SGC. And that was me. I was communicating with him. And I don't think that there's anything bad about him at all. I like the guy. I think I like him more than Jabs, his brother, that does these YouTube videos. But, he's got his mindset. He's closed-minded, And it just goes to show you that that's not a good thing, because he doesn't even know what's going on with the SGC. He thinks that they only grade old cards. But that's not the case. They grade new cards too. So, getting back to topic, the box breaking, they open up 90% of the product. They leave very little for the shops close, and you don't have much of a chance to pull anything good anymore. It's even slimmer than it was already, being that, a rare card's a rare card. Like, say, a 1-in-1, your odds are like 1 in 40,000 packs. Well, because you can only buy 10% of maybe the product, your odds are even less than that, because you don't have the same kind of odds as everybody else that's doing it in the box breaks. So the 1 in 40,000 packs is more like 1 in 200,000, honestly. And you guys need to understand that. And, if you guys want to fix the problem, if you're a box breaker, that's not a hard problem to fix at all. You don't quit doing what you're doing, because it's what you like to do, and it's, maybe it's even replacing your career. I think that, that's not necessarily a great thing. I think that if you're, a man and you stand up for things that are right, you're going to go to work and you're going to do something to contribute to society. And not that you're not, because baseball cards are, they're fun and they're worth money and stuff like that, but it's not a necessity either. You know what I mean? I think that you need to be a man and do something better with your life than opening up baseball cards. But maybe you've already, maybe you've already had a career, and maybe you're retired and you just do this stuff for fun because you have all day, So I don't hate on any box break or whatever. I mean, it's obviously circumstantial, but you don't have to do as much as what you do. For those of you guys that are out there that are doing box breaks and you're opening cards all freaking day for customers and stuff like that, kudos to you for building up that, that business. And that took you probably a good amount of, effort and time, and I appreciate that. But what you're ultimately doing is you're killing the shops and you're killing the hobby. If you're going to be doing that, at least when you're doing it, like, educate people on stuff. You know what I mean? Talk about stuff that matters. Don't just talk about the greatest new tops thing, or the greatest, I don't know. You know what I mean? You guys just sit there and you don't even, like, say this is a 1919 or 2000 Topps Update Jumbo Pack, okay? And there's good stuff in the middle. You don't even care about that stuff, and you just get to the middle, and then you flip through a couple things real quick, and then boom, and it's over. And you don't even see the base cards in the set, and you're opening up cards all day so fast because, that's what you do. But you don't even go through the cards. So if you're buying into these breaks, you don't even know if you're getting all the cards that, you should, I think it's crazy, dude. I've never been into a box break ever. It's never happened. I've thought about doing it. I've thought about maybe seeing if I can get into a box break of like 93 SP and maybe buying a pack for $150 or something like that, and see if I can get lucky and pull a Jeter. That type of situation, and that would be something that I'd be interested in doing. But doing these box breaks for like product like this, just buy the dang box yourself, people. You know what I mean? Just buy the box yourself. You don't have to get into the... But then again, you're going to buy what you want to buy. Maybe you only want to get, Angels cards. Maybe you want to get only Mariners cards. And that's your reasoning behind it, obviously do what you're going to do and spend your money how you're going to spend it. But, yeah, I don't know, man. The box breakers are just out of control. 90%? we need to try to get that amount and lower it down to like, 40-50% straight up, guys. Everybody, if you're involved in baseball cards and you buy baseball cards or you sell baseball cards, if you're a box breaker, anything that has to do with baseball cards, that number needs to come down to 50% to sustain a healthy hobby, because the 90% thing is too much. You know what I'm saying? So, the box breakers, either less people guys need to be doing it, or you need to be buying less product. You're buying too much of it, and it's a problem. What's going to happen is, there's no more for you to buy. It can only be, you guys have maxed it out. You can't buy 95% of the product. You guys have already like maxed your potential of percentages. You know what I'm saying? So, excuse me. I got allergies, and I used to be a smoker and stuff. So, my voice is a little hoarse sometimes. Anyway, yeah, you guys have already got to where you're gonna get. It's maxed out, and I see a lot of problems in the hobby. I honestly don't see it being around. There's a really cool guy on YouTube, and I've talked about him before. Baseball Collector, and he's really excited because he's going to give this guy an interview that did the Diamond Kings inserts back in the 80s for Donruss, and he's all excited about it. And the reason he's excited about it is because he liked the product and he liked the guy and he supported the guy. And, we're talking about old stuff like that, you know what I mean? And he probably still does some of the new stuff too, but at the end of the day, he's happy and excited about stuff that he's done in the past because the hobby was different in the past. I'm really surprised that he doesn't talk about some of the stuff that I talk about, because there's going to be X amount of people that try to get into this hobby and start getting into sports cards that just ultimately get screwed over, one way or another, right away, and then they're gone. And then guys like me and Guns and Nats, man, and stuff like that, it's a trickle down effect. We're gonna end up, not being around anymore, and it's gonna be a dying breed of thing. And then I think that there's always gonna be a small market for it, but it's like, I don't know, man. And the way with the kids are today with their apps and their phones and their electronics, there's a lot of kids out there that are spending money and stuff on these like bundles and packs on Madden or the MLB The Show. They buy stuff and then they get to play with their players. They're not into baseball cards anymore because they'd rather just play the video game. But the problem with the video game is, the next year or the year after that, it gets outdated and people don't play it no more, and then they don't have the actual paper card to show for it anymore. The game, it's not worth money anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and that's kind of an unfortunate thing, and I don't blame the kids for wanting to play the games with their favorite players on, because, I used to play Super Nintendo, back in the day with Ken Griffey Jr., and I used to pick Griffey, and I used to play in the home run derby, and, it was the same thing. That's what we had back in the day, and this is what they have now, in 2020. But they're not buying baseball cards. They're just playing their video games. And so there's going to be less of an interest in this stuff because the kids don't have any attachment to it besides maybe their folks that have stuff. So if you keep ripping off the folks that have stuff and they get rid of it and they get out of it, you're going to decrease the numbers slowly and slowly and slowly, and then it's just going to die off, and there's not going to be enough people that are interested in it anymore, and then people are going to stop making it. Do you guys want that to happen? Do you guys want the baseball prices to get out of control like the basketball prices? You guys check out my channel, check out about the things that I talk about. If you guys want this hobby to be around for a long, long time, and you guys care about it, listen to what I have to say. Open your eyes. Think about what you're doing. You guys have almost wrecked the hobby. Everybody that's involved in this stuff with being either like scandalous or tricking people or overpricing stuff, or the box breakers, scandals on eBay, or even by buying cards from companies like this who do stupid things. And then everybody like loving them the most. Think about what you're doing. You're supporting crookedness. You're supporting the wrong team. Don't use them. Switch over to SGC. And that's the thing that you guys really need to ultimately realize, that one day everything the way that it's going, you know, you're not going to be able to buy a box of like this anymore. You're not going to be able to, you know, in 2040, you're not going to have a box of baseball cards open because they're not going to make it, because everybody's going to lose interest because there's too much stuff in it that's involved in this stuff that's just completely scandal. You know, in the last video that I made, I talked about base cards and I talked about quality. Look at this card right here. This is what they're coming out with in 2020. You know, they made cards like this like in 1992. What's wrong with that? You know, there's a lot to fix, guys. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things that we can do, you know, to make this thing turn around and to better it. And I like to think to myself, ultimately, at the end of the day, before I even make these videos, I think to myself, well, what's really wrong with it the way it is today? What's really wrong with it? It's okay. They make new product. You can find it. You can buy it. You can buy on eBay. And, you know, what do you have to argue about? Like, what do you have to complain about? The stuff that I complain about is, I know from what I see, it's going downhill. And you guys need to slow the roll. You guys don't see it, but I see it. I know what I'm talking about. And it keeps getting worse all the time. For instance, you go back to 1995, 1994, there's an insert card that has a serial number of 10,000. Well, if they make a card right now that has a serial number of 10,000, you guys are laughing. You guys laugh at it because it's too high. It's not rare enough for you guys anymore. It's become a joke. That's why they don't serial number the short prints. That's why Topps makes the short prints. Because you guys aren't impressed with that anymore. I don't even know if you guys are impressed with the Topps Gold anymore. The 2000, you know, numbered inserts. Yeah, you guys are for the big rookies and stuff like that. But if they had an insert card that had 2000 on it, you know, you guys aren't impressed with that at all anymore. You're just not. And that's a problem because 2000 is a lot of people. You know what I mean? You're talking about how many people like cards and buy sports cards and collections out there. You know, just think about a Major League Baseball game. What's the average attendance? 25, 30,000, maybe 35,000. If you're in Miami, it's probably like 500. But you know, I bet you everybody that's willing to pay to go to a Major League Baseball game a couple times a year probably buys baseball cards because they like baseball, right? It's common sense. You talk about 2,000. I mean, that's not a lot, but you guys aren't impressed with it anymore whatsoever. And that's a problem. It's a problem that you can go to a card shop, and if you don't go the day of or the day after or very soon thereafter, after something's come out, that you can't get your hands on that box anymore. You have to buy it online. The shop should be able to get as much product almost as they want, so that way they have it for guys that, you know, actually have jobs and that are busy, and they don't make this their priority to go get a box of something and it be there for them a week after it's come out. This stuff is almost like borderline a joke now. Everything's so different and it's changed so much in a negative way. Even the way that, you know, we look at the prices of sports cards. Beckett used to hold water. Beckett used to mean something. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And I'm going to blame most of that on Beckett, because they're the ones that let their price guides go, and eBay kind of had to take over because, well, it's a common practice. It's a common sense that anybody, card's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for, right? But at the same time, eBay and the prices and everything is run by us. It's run by people. It's run by people who want to spend what they want to spend. So let me give you an example of how that can be a bad thing. Say this is a Ronald Acuna Jr. bat down baseball card, okay? Say all of these are. Say there's like 100 or 200 in here. Say you got your hands on, you know, a couple hundred of them, right? And on the back, you look for a serial number. You know it's rare, but you don't know how much rare. You don't know how many of them are out there. And you're like, okay, well, I have to look at this code on the back. Anybody that's new into sports cards isn't going to know that. They're not going to have any idea. So they're going to open something and not even know what they have, okay? And it's a bad thing. Serial number cards. Anyway, you know, as somebody that might be like considered a card junkie, or they might not, they might know what they have. They say, okay, well, you know what? We know that this card's rare. So let me take the 100 that I have, and then let me sell, you know, 5 or 6 or 10 of them. I'll sell one for 100, and then once the word gets out a little bit, you know, that this is a little bit rarer card, you know, maybe I'll have a buddy sell, you know, spend $125 on the card, and then I'll give him $25 back or whatever. And then a week later, oh, I'll sell that one for 150, but then I'll give the, you know, guy $50 back later, or whatever. Or you can just sell it to yourself and create a different eBay account. Really, you could do that. Who's gonna stop you? Nobody. You drive the prices up 200, 300, 400, 500, and then you're like, okay, maybe we should quit now. Everybody's noticed that there's a rare card out there, and people fall in line with it because that's what the market value is, right? And that's how it happens. But guess what? There's people that do that, guys. And you guys buy it, and you guys fall in with it, and you're like, oh, wow, you know, that card's selling for that much money now. What do you think happened to my trout prices? Do you think they just went up on their own? No, they went up because investors and people, you know, gradually increased the price of the cards, and people pay it. Well, it didn't start out like a legitimate, like, you know, innocent type of thing. You know, people pushed on it at the beginning, and then it went up, and it went up, and it went up, and it went up. But I guarantee you, if there was no such thing as eBay, like if you could look and see what the card's selling for, if the Beckett price guide was accurate today, and if it was accurate, and if you looked at a 2011 Topps Update Mike Trout card, it wouldn't say $600, $700. It wouldn't. It would say 300, 400. You know what I'm saying? Like, the prices are way up on it. And that's just eBay. And that's what the problem is with the hobby and the sports cards, is because eBay is like the only thing that we have. And it's not a good system. It's not the right system. We need something like this to hold water. We really do. And the box breakers, think about what you're doing to the hobby, man. You guys are killing it out there. You guys are destroying it. And guys that have bigger channels, you know, think about what you're doing. Think about the things you talk about. Don't support the scandal. Think about what you're talking about. Think about what's right. Think about what's honest. Think about what's legit. You know? Don't just go with the flow. Don't be closed-minded. You know what I mean? Like, why are you going to do that for? Like, guys that have, like, big channels are so closed-minded. And they preach this stuff all the time. And it's the worst thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard in my... When we're talking about baseball cards, obviously. You know, I've heard of a lot worse things than anything to do with baseball cards, so... So yeah, box breakers, man. That was the topic of this video. I probably talked about a lot of other things that I've already talked about in the past. But yeah, man, just open up your eyes, guys, please. You know, and share the video. You know, if you buy into box breaks all the time, you know, maybe take it a few notches down. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know, it's got to be small chunks. It's got to be small things at a time. You know, it's going on too much. There's too much of it. So try to cut back a little bit here and there. You know, still buy stuff. Still buy the stuff you like. Still go with the box breakers you like. Maybe just don't buy as much. And the box breakers, quit buying so much, because you're killing stuff, man. You're just destroying it, man. You're doing way too much. All right, and that's it. Joe Sports Card signing out. Peace out, guys. Appreciate you hearing me vent, but like I said, it's just for your own good, you know. There's a guy that used to, you know, be alive, and he used to do YouTube videos, and his name was Rich Piana, and he used to just tell you guys the truth, and he used to open up about steroids, and he wanted to do good things with that because he knew that there was people out there that were taking him wrong, and you know, he didn't want to see people make the same mistakes he made, and he wanted people to live and be healthy and get big and get strong. But if they wanted to take steroids, he wanted to make sure that people were doing them right. So that's what he did. Well, I do the same thing. I try to open up your guys' eyes. I try to fix the problems. I don't just talk about stuff, that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? I want to see this hobby thrive. I want to see this hobby, and not that it's not thriving now. I mean, look at the economy. Look at how bad it is, and people are still buying baseball cards. Well, the people that are buying baseball cards are the people that are doing well in life, or at least, okay. A lot of people out there are freaking hungry. They can't even buy groceries. Yeah, this is not important, really, but people are still spending money on this stuff. If you want to spend your money, in a good way, help out, donate. You know what I mean? Don't worry about buying your boxes of baseball cards right now. You know what I mean? But at the same time, buy what you want to buy. I mean, it's a free country and you guys can do whatever you want. But man, it's kind of sad. So right now I'm not buying stuff. Taking a break. I bought this, but it's just sitting there, and I'm gonna probably just hold on to it for a while. I took down a lot of cards on my eBay store. I think I have 2 cards for sale. I think I have these 2 cards up for sale right now, and that's all I have on my desk. Because baseball is not important right now. You know what I mean? When it comes back and everything's good and people are back to work, then maybe I'll, start getting more back into it and start buying stuff. But right now, it's just not. It's not important right now, so that's why I'm not into it. So, all right, guys, I gotta get out. I gotta get ready for work and stuff. So I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night. Peace, love. Talk to y'all later.